Issues of ministerial conduct are absolutely questions for the Prime Minister, not for the Speaker. It would be like saying if a minister was charged by the police that would be a question for the police and not for the Prime Minister. Actually, regardless of what decisions you have taken, the Prime Minister is responsible for determining whether a minister's conduct is acceptable or not. He can't deflect the question by saying it's not his responsibility. It is.
Some further elucidation on the question, or the question, ask the question again. So you know.
Does David Seymour's conduct in driving a Land Rover up the steps of Parliament, despite repeated warnings not to, along with his criticisms of the security guard who stopped him and his insistence he should have been allowed to, meet his, as Prime Minister, his expectations in terms of ministerial conduct?
As I've said before, that's an issue for the Speaker to talk about the parliamentary steps, but with respect to my ministers, I have every confidence in all of my ministers.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. The Prime Minister is responsible for determining the standards of conduct for ministers. I have asked him whether David Seymour's actions meet those standards. The Prime Minister and the Prime Minister alone sets those standards. Nobody else, not you as Speaker, not anybody else. It's not unreasonable to get an indication. I appreciate I can't insist that he says yes or no, but it's not unreasonable to get an indication from him whether David Seymour's recent conduct, particularly on Monday, meets those expectations.
Before I hear any comments on the point of order, I just want to remind members that the Speaker is not responsible for any confidence issues around ministers. The Honourable Chris Bishop.
Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister answered the question. He said in relation to parliamentary security matters that is a matter for you, quite rightly, and that he has confidence in all his ministers. The question was addressed and answered.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'd just also make the point that there are several premises in the question which are very close to misleading. I haven't insisted I be allowed to. I've actually accepted your ruling and given you an apology. I've not attacked a security guard. I've simply described the facts.
Footage captured by TVNZ shows David Seymour was warned by the organiser they did not have permission to cruise up Parliament steps.
We've been told to keep off the steps.
Twice.
We've been told by security that we cannot go on the steps.
Why not? Why not?
But he's still denying any knowledge that he was not allowed.
I didn't know I wasn't allowed to. What I did know is that it was for a good cause.
He shrugged off any potential referral to the Privileges Committee, effectively Parliament's court.
Well, what are they going to do? Bring me before Privileges Committee for driving a Land Rover?
Why were you laughing about being sent to the Privileges Committee? Like, why were you shrugging that off?
Well, you know, I think it would be an absurdity, and as the Speaker has said, there's no way that that can happen.
Labour.
No further on this. I think the Prime Minister might want to repeat his answer.
As I said, with respect to parliamentary security, that is a decision for the Speaker. I have confidence in all of my ministers.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. I didn't ask him whether he had confidence in his ministers. I asked him whether David Seymour had met his standards when it comes to ministerial conduct. The Prime Minister sets the standards for ministerial conduct. David Seymour, he is obliged to indicate to the House whether or not David Seymour is meeting those.
Well, I think in saying I have confidence in all ministers fairly covers it, but ask the question a different way if you want to. We're not going to try and get away from all this.
Some supplementary. How does driving a Land Rover up the front steps of Parliament meet his expectations around appropriate ministerial conduct?
I have expressed my views publicly on both the issues around the letter and the parliamentary steps. I have met with the Minister and had a positive and constructive conversation about it, and I have every confidence in all of my ministers.
Mountain Tui.